At her brother's Stanford celebration dinner, Emily's mom raised a glass and declared her the family's biggest failure. Laughter followed. Emily stood, left the room, and came back holding an envelope that would shatter everything they thought they knew about her. But what happened next will silence even the harshest critics. But first, let's go back to the beginning. At her brother's Stanford celebration dinner, Emily's mom raised a glass and declared her the family's biggest failure. Laughter followed. Emily stood, left the room, and came back holding an envelope that would shatter everything they thought they knew about her. But what happened next will silence even the harshest critics. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The night felt like a performance from the moment I stepped into the dining room. Everything gleamed. The polished table, the candlesticks she never used unless company was over, even the crystal wine glasses Ryan got for Mom's birthday. But there was no company that night, just us. And yet, she staged the evening like an awards banquet, as if applause might come echoing through the walls. The house smelled of her pride: grilled salmon with rosemary, wild rice in perfect domes on the plates, and that lemon cake she only made when someone had earned something. "Celebration night," she'd declared when she sent the family group text. No mention of what was being celebrated, but we all knew. Ryan's Stanford letter had arrived that morning. Early decision, just like she'd groomed it. He walked in, freshly shaved, wearing the navy button-down she liked best on him. And when she kissed him on the cheek and handed him a glass of Merlot like he was already 35, I knew the script was underway. She waited until the second course to raise her glass. "To Ryan," she began, her voice lilting like she was addressing a ballroom. "To the son who made this family proud, who knows how to set goals, who actually does something with his life." There was no pause between the toast and the turn. She shifted toward me with the grace of someone who had practiced the punchline. Her smile was painted on, polite, cruel, radiant. "And to Emily," she said, voice thick with faux sweetness, "our family's biggest mystery, and well, let's be honest, our biggest failure." No gasp followed. No one knocked over a glass in shock. Just a low ripple of breathy chuckles, Ryan's included. The kind of laughter people give when they don't know if they're allowed to defend you or should just play along. My face went hot. Not from shame. I was used to her venom. But from the fact that it still somehow reached the soft parts of me. I gripped my fork hard enough that my hand hurt. I could taste metal behind my teeth. But I said nothing. Not yet. I stood. No chair scrape. No dramatic exit. I simply walked upstairs. The silence behind me was too deliberate, like they were watching a scene change in a play they thought they'd memorized. And then I returned, the envelope in my hand. Thick, cream-colored, heavy with weight they hadn't yet imagined. I didn't toss it. I didn't hold it high like some revenge trophy. I placed it flat on the table, gently, between the wine stains and the crumbs of praise that hadn't been meant for me. "I wasn't going to say anything yet," I said. My voice trembled, but it didn't break. "But maybe now's the right time." And I slid the envelope across the oak, toward the woman who had never once asked what I was building when she thought I was wasting time. She opened the envelope like it might stain her hands. Her fingers hesitated on the flap, too careful, as if peeling back its seal would mean acknowledging something she hadn't authorized, something out of her control. And that, more than anything, was what Sandra Carson could not stand, being blindsided. I watched her eyes flick across the letter, line by line. There was no gasp, no theatrical exhale, just the stillness of her jaw tightening slightly when she reached the bolded sentence at the center of the page. "We are proud to offer Emily Carson a full academic and artistic scholarship covering tuition housing, and travel. Her mouth didn't move, her hands didn't tremble, but everything in her froze, like a machine whose wires had short-circuited from unfamiliar code. She didn't look up. She didn't hand it back. She just stared, as if the page had turned on her. For a beat, no one said a word. Then, I saw my dad. His hand half lifted from the table as though reaching for something invisible. His eyes brimmed. Ryan shifted in his seat, eyes darting between the letter and me. His mouth was slightly open, but no words came out. He'd grown up assuming the hierarchy in our house was fixed. He was the gold standard, I was the cautionary tale. This upended that. It broke the math. And Mom looked like someone staring at a puzzle where the final piece didn't fit. A scholarship, not just for art, but full academic merit. It was achievement. And it had happened entirely without her. Without her planning, her pushing, her approval. Finally, she spoke. "You applied without telling us?" It was a simple sentence, but I heard what she meant. You acted without permission. You believed in something I didn't. I had to, I replied, my voice steady now. I knew you'd never believe I could deserve something like this. She didn't deny it. That was the most startling part. For once, she didn't reach for a jab, a lecture, a rewrite of reality. She just sat there, silent, exposed in her own blindness. And the silence wasn't empty. It pressed in, filling the corners of the room, louder than any outburst, the kind that makes people finally listen. Later, as I cleared my plate without being asked, I heard her whisper to my father behind me, low, like an admission pulled from somewhere deep. She's not who I thought she was. And I knew she meant it. The morning I left for Whitmore was overcast, not gloomy, just soft, like the sky was holding its breath. My suitcase stood by the door, zipped with care, and the old duffel bag Mom had given me when I was 13 sat quietly beside it. She didn't say much that morning. No last-minute checklist, no sentimental speech, no hug at the door, just a nod. A look that tried to be neutral but trembled at the edges. I didn't ask her to help pack. She didn't offer. That felt fair. The drive to campus was quiet. My dad made small talk about road conditions and gas mileage, the kind of filler speech people use when the air is too thick with things they don't know how to say. But when we pulled into the Whitmore Academy parking lot, he finally turned to me, cleared his throat, and placed his hand gently on my shoulder. "You belong here, Em," he said. "You really do." I didn't cry until hours later, after my roommate left for dinner and I was alone in the dorm room. That's when I opened the duffel to unpack, and found the sealed envelope tucked in the side pocket, almost hidden. It had no name on it, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. Inside was a photograph. Me at 6 years old, gap-toothed and beaming, holding up a crumpled drawing of a dragon with purple wings and too many teeth. I remembered the day, how proud I'd been, how I ran into the kitchen to show it to Mom, how she barely looked up from her laptop. I turned the photo over. I forgot this version of you. I was wrong to bury her. I'm sorry. Mom. No explanations. No excuses. Just a small fracture in her armor, and through it, something real. It didn't erase everything. Not the silence, not the years of dismissal, but it mattered. It made space for something new. At Whitmore, I didn't just survive. I shed the skin of the girl who had learned to fold herself small. I painted with hands that no longer trembled. I spoke in lectures, offered critiques, made friends who saw me before I spoke. My voice, once quiet out of fear, grew deliberate. Present. When the gallery called for submissions for the annual showcase, I didn't hesitate. I chose the portrait I had painted late at night under a single desk lamp, one I'd worked on for weeks, layer after careful layer. It was my mother, not as she was, but as she had been in that precise moment at the dinner table, the moment her vision of me shattered, and something else, something truer, took its place. Her eyes not proud, not triumphant, but seeing. I titled it, "The Moment She Looked at Me." People stopped in front of it and stayed. Some whispered, some wept. None of them knew the story. But I did. And with every brushstroke, I had rewritten mine.